I will now turn it over to Nathan to share his words of wisdom on brand building.
Hi, thanks. So I've got a burst. This is a short burst. I guess one thing that I would say is, based on the slide that you see before you, I'm not going to be talking about brand purpose. Brand purposes are great if you use them. I just happen to find that most of our clients, over time, stop using them, especially if the numbers go south or soft. They're just like, where's my purpose? The reason the slide is up is because it's actually the name of a game that I designed for myself back, call it in the early part of the last decade, so the teens of this century. And What's Your Purpose is a game that goes like this. You drive to work, and you listen to the news, and you listen for the latest corporate scandal. And then when you get to work, you Google that corporation's purpose, and compare and contrast. It's a very cynical game, but it was kind of fun. I collected maybe 30 or 40 of these examples over the course of a year, and then I just kind of got bored. It became repetitive. But I thought just for fun, I would resurrect, call it my top 4, and share them with you today. So number 1 is Merck. So this is the CEO of Merck, jolly guy. Merck, as you may recall, marketed a drug called Vioxx. Vioxx was a pain reliever. It also killed people. The FDA found that it killed like 55,000 people actually, before they took it off the market. And you may see that their purpose is to increase the quality or enhance the quality of life of people and families all around the world. This is the CEO of Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo, as you may remember, bilked their customers out of millions, tens of millions of dollars over the course of a few years. They're about helping people succeed financially. They did get a fine for this, like $2.5 million, which is like a parking ticket. And this is the CEO of Mylan. Mylan was a company that bought the EpiPen. And after they bought the EpiPen, they raised the price from $50 to $600, effectively putting a life-saving device out of reach of most American families. And so you can see they're about making sure that healthcare solutions are available to as many people as possible. And I thought I'd provide a more modern version of this game for you today. So this is the king of the metaverse, and as you know, Zuckerberg's really about bringing people together. So why am I torturing you with this incredibly cynical game? Well, there's 2 reasons. One is I view this kind of the time of the teens in the world of brand as like peak bullshit, right? And the good news about whenever we get into peak bullshit in any category is that people start to notice. So the good news is that consumers now know that if you're telling me that you're going to save the world with your insurance product, or your marketing software is going to change everything, they're going to roll their eyes. Because, think about it, if every single one of these purposes was delivered upon, things would be amazing. We'd be just killing it, right? So the good news is we've passed peak bullshit. It's almost over. It's still kind of with us, but it's almost over. And I have a high hope that this era will be replaced by what I would call the era of insanity, like the good kind of insanity, the founder's insanity. So this is the founders of Tom's Shoes, by the way. So what do I mean by founder's insanity? So about the same time that brands were kind of losing their minds about becoming purpose-driven, I was working with a group of really smart, really reasonable people trying to kind of update and create a really smart and really reasonable brand. And by the way, smart and reasonable is code for boring. And For whatever reason, these people were really interested in Coco Chanel. They were inspired by Coco Chanel. And so it was kind of mind-blowing because I'm like, dispositionally, these people were a million miles away from Coco Chanel. And if you think about Coco Chanel, she was obsessed with art, she was obsessed with fashion, and she was on a mission to bring fashion from kind of the Gilded Age into the modernity of the 20th century. And thinking about her from a branding point of view, like Coco Chanel did not have a brand pyramid. She did not have a stated brand purpose. She was the pyramid. She was the purpose. And I started thinking about more contemporary versions of this. Steve Jobs was alive at the time. And how these different founders were putting an imprint on the outward-facing expression of their brands. And at the time, Patagonia was kind of emerging as this brand darling, as a purpose-driven company. But I was really more interested in the impact that its founder had on the way that it went to market. And so there are two images on the screen right now. One of them is the founder of Patagonia. The other one is not the founder of Columbia. And I think you can tell simply by looking at these two people which one is which. So why am I obsessed with this? I'm obsessed with this because consumers care. Customers care. Customers notice. I've always been really astounded and very interested in how compelling a founder is to consumers. So even across this gigantic commercial divide, the transaction that happens between a customer and a founder or a founder's organization, you can tell, can't you, that the people on the other end of this transaction are obsessed or insane in a way that's probably unhealthy about the product and service that they are delivering for you. And I feel like what I've witnessed over the course of my career is that founder brands often are the brands that we care the most about, we can't live without, we attach our identity to, and we find a lot of resonance with, as opposed to simply reason and making sense. So, if that's the key, how do you do it? Like, even if you're not a founder, how do you create founder's insanity? How do you create a brand that engenders that? So we have a couple thoughts on this. So one thing that we would say is today's brands need to resonate beyond reason. And there are two keys that we want to establish from day one when we're working on a brand. One is that they are enduring, meaning that they, at their core, are based upon a powerful, universal human truth. The kind of truth that is compelling to you today, is compelling to people in the past, and will be compelling to people long into the future, enduring. So if you think about, like if you're about helping people rear their children, or helping people feel secure, or helping people feel prestige, better than everybody else, these are core human desires that you need to kind of understand, build your brand around, define, and then your next challenge is to find the next expression of that in the emergent culture. So as a parent, what is the next way that people are parenting their children in an ever-changing world? And the way that we look at this is by paying attention to the brand, the consumer or the customer, the category and the culture. And we will often marry these up. So under enduring, we're interested in what the brand stands for, what the brand cares about, and what the consumer cares about. What's the overlap there? And we're also interested in the category and how it's impacted by the culture over time. Once we understand that, we have a better chance of creating one of these founders' insanity brands. So just to unpack enduring and emergent a little bit. So say you are marketing a bourbon brand. Bourbon's fun. We want to connect people to that brand, and we find that there are three main ways to do that. We want to connect with the head, heart, and gut of the people that we're looking to serve. So if you think about the head, that is the rational benefits that you offer. So in the context of whiskey, it's like aging, provenance. The heart piece is the values that you share with your customer as a brand. So whether it's, whether you're sustainable, whether you're philanthropic, your brand character. And those two are really easy to understand. All you have to do is talk to consumers or customers, do your research, but that's really only going to give you 2/3 of the picture. The real key is understanding the gut. We know that most decisions are made from a primal place. And so it's very important that you understand a model of human motivation. And there are a number of them out there that will help you understand the gut piece. We use a model that's based on 16 hardwired desires, and it allows us to marry up what a brand stands for with what people actually want from their lives. So that's enduring. Once you've defined that, crystallized that, the goal is to take it into the emergent. So again, emergent is really where the culture and the category intersect. Technically, category is a subset of the culture. Your category is you and your competitors. And it's important to know that obviously all of this, the category, the culture, your brand and people within it, the culture are sailing through a stream of change. Change is impacting our culture at a dizzying rate every single day, and it has an impact on how the category performs, how it behaves. And so at LPK, we keep track of this with trends people, and they classify these changes. They call them either emergent, mainstreaming, or residual. And so it's obvious, most of the category is going to want to play in the mainstreaming place. The brands that are reasonable, that want to make sense, play it safe, they play in the mainstreaming space. But what we found is the brands that push into the emergent. Now, you don't have to be at the bleeding edge, but you need to be in that emergent zone, because face it, like no one's talking about Buick today. Everybody's talking about Tesla today. Tesla is an emergent car company. So when you push into that emergent space, you realize a number of benefits. Number one, you go where the attention gathers, you become part of the category conversation, you by definition lose competitors, and you're going to make the most of your marketing cash. So ultimately, you're going to become a brand that people care about, they can't live without, they attach their identity to, and find residence within. So if you are a founder, lean into the insanity, love it, crystallize it. If you're not a founder, replicate it by tapping into the enduring and the emergent. That's my burst. I'm Nathan Hendricks. Thanks for listening.